Okay, in this video, we're going to look at the temporary patient registration option on SimplyAct. I'm currently on the SimplyAct Practice app within a test patient's record. In this case, Jason Rice, 42-year-old male. We can see at the top, patient is not linked to our practice. So this either means patient has not created a patient side account or has not accepted our connection request on the patient side. And you can see that we've got some basic information for Jason that we collected on the initial phone call when we first established contact with the patient. So once the patient arrives to the office, or technically this could be done remote as well, let's say the day before an appointment, if the patient doesn't want to or can't create a patient side account, we can create a temporary patient side account for them. So I'll step back one step. I come to the top right over the patient's name and expand the patient summary panel on the right. There's a menu at the top right that I click on, and I can elect to send registration. I create a username. In this case, we'll just use his last name, and then a 4-digit password. So this could be the last 4 of his social. In this case, in a test case, it's 0000. Last 4 of a phone number, or technically any 4-digit PIN. I can choose to send this one-time registration account request to the patient via SMS or email if the patient is going to do it on their own device, whether that's in office or, again, the day before the appointment at home. Or I can select none if we're doing it in the office and we're going to use one of our in-office devices, such as an iPad. In this case, I'll just select none, and then I'm going to select send. We get a confirmation that a one-time registration user was created. The alert at the top changes, letting us know it's connected to a temporary patient account at this point. We can technically end that connection manually here. So let's say after the patient, we'll look at that in a second, after they're registered, if I want to end this connection, I can. The system will automatically end that connection 2 hours after creation. Again, because this is meant to be a temporary account, not meant to be a permanent account, and that's for security reasons, that this temporary connection will be ultimately ended. So if I switch over to the temporary patient account login screen, if you send that registration to the patient via SMS or email, the link in the SMS or email will take them to this particular sign-on screen, not the normal patient sign-on screen, this temporary patient sign-on screen. And if you're going to do it on your in-office iPad, this is one of the URLs we'll have saved so that you can quickly pull it up. Hit patient login, enter those credentials that we just created. So in this case, last name and last 4 of social. Hit continue, and we're now immediately in this temporary patient account. There will be red alerts where Jason needs to complete information. He'll start with the HIPAA authorization. He can review that, elect to agree, hit next. All of his information's pre-populated if we've already entered it on the patient side like we usually have on that first call. He can sign off on it, and then the system's going to guide him through registration. So it's telling him next step is demographics and insurance. Any information that we've already entered is already completed for him, so he doesn't have to repeat that. Again, this can be done on his own device or on the office iPad. Can take a photo of the driver's license. In this case, we're just uploading it since we're on a computer. Contact info, you notice it skipped that because we already have that. He can technically go into it and add, but it's not going to force him to. Emergency contact. And again, the system is just guiding him through what we need from him. He can select to add multiple emergency contacts, or he can say, I'm only going to enter that one, and hit submit. And then it'll take him to insurance. We've already entered on that initial phone call basic information, but he can add card photos. Again, on an iPad or phone, he can just, it'll allow him to take photos of those cards. Everything, you can check everything else is correct and hit save, and then submit. And then he would do the same thing on dental, but we'll just skip through those. It then automatically directs him to health history. And again, he's got these alerts to help guide him. In this case, we'll enter one medicine. And then the system will take him through the predictions flows. But other than predictions, again, if there's something that he has that wasn't on the predictions, he can add that additionally. And then he'll work through all of these in the same fashion. And then we'll just say no and no to get through that. The system doesn't automatically take him to the authorizations, but again, we want to let them know just follow all of the red icons until the red icons are gone. Once he gets to this screen after following that red icon, it does tell him what needs to be done. So authorizations are incomplete. And if he clicks that button, he's taken directly to the authorizations interaction. Notice of privacy practices and release of information privileges. So, you can add somebody, or again, elect to not add anyone. You can add multiple people, whatever he prefers, and then he'll sign off on that. And then at that time, since he's completed all required items, it takes him back to the profile screen, and again, there's no alerts, so that's a sign that he is done. He could then sign out of that temporary patient account, and then we'll switch back over to the practice app. We'll reload that screen, and we'll get all of his registration information that he just placed on the patient side. Authorizations, NOPP, release of records, privileges to his spouse, health history, and it tells us again who entered that information and when. And then, as I mentioned, we can end this connection at any time. As with a normal connected account, so anytime a patient is connected to your practice account, for security purposes, it won't let you change this email, because if we change the email and accidentally change it to something that's wrong, the patient will then be locked out of their patient side account without any way of remedying that situation. So we will, but let's say, again, in this temporary account status, let's say we've got his registration information. We don't really any longer need that temporary account. We can end that connection at any time, and he goes back to this unlinked status where all the data, including his email, are now back in that editable state. So that's a brief overview of the temporary patient account interaction on SimplyAct. And I hope that all makes sense. And if we have further questions, just let us know.